we have two ways you could actually access these, and that's within the cloud itself, but you could also access them through our website. And one note about this is not the recommended way to do it if you are already an existing customer. So if you were to go into our website and go to add-ons, add-on setup wizards, and then start free trial for any of these, let's say you're interested in learning more about signatures. When you click on that request, it's going to take you to a familiar looking wizard, which you might be, interested in filling in. But you notice here at the bottom, it says Quickbase account URL. The reason why we have this here is this is for majority prospective new customers who are not on the Juice Cloud already. So if you are already on the Juice Cloud, please be conscious to do the setups from here, because that is definitely the recommended and safest way to go about doing this. One other thing before we get into doing it on the Juice Cloud is we've actually started recommending that you add a button on your application dashboard to the Juice Cloud as well. That's just one way to ensure that you do not necessarily forget where to go or lose track of where to go. So if you go to this button bar, and I'll just add it here, if you click on URL, you can actually just, and I'll log out for a second, you can take this login, put in the URL, click off, and you may want to change the name just so that it says Juiced Cloud. And then from there, once you save it, you can click right in. That's something that we've been recommending lately, just as another way so you don't forget where to go, in case you want to install it in other applications or just to check on some other stuff within there. So let me log back in right now. I'll jump into my builder account. As many of you know, and as we've gone over in previous meetings, in order to move forward with authorizing a new application for any one of our add-ons, when you click that button right there, authorize new application, you can either use an existing user token or a new user token. And something I just want to go through for those of you who don't know is how to get to your own user token. So if you're within here, you have a couple different user tokens that you can get to. Where did my builder account go? And when you're in here, you're going to want to go to Hi, your name in the top right corner, My Preferences, and Manage My User Tokens. And you see a bunch of them here. When you go to grab any of these, you just copy it, go back to the cloud, and paste that in. Once it reads the user token and decides which applications it has access to, with this one, it's relationships. You're able to select one or of the many, potentially. And you have the option to do authorize only, no setup. For most cases, you won't need that, but we have a little tidbit here for that.
Yeah, just one point. The reason why you would choose that is maybe you have Exact Ones Plus or an add-on already set up in the application, and you don't need to create all of the tables and structure and so on because you copied it from another app. You would use the authorize only just so that we know about that app and it can run. So that's the only reason why authorize only is there, because you don't need, in this case, Exact Ones Plus, to have document templates and subtables because they're already there and the fields are already there. So it just authorizes the app.
Thanks, Keith. So you would check that off if that is the case, and that would be the end of this. But assuming that you do not have the fields or tables set up, you would hit next. And on the setup page, it's going to ask you which table you would like this on. As you can see, I do already have some of our add-ons installed here, but I'll just press activities again. You have the option for doc or PDF, as well as use standard template or use custom template. When you choose custom, you can select from your files. So I can just pick sample 2.0 and finish.
And another point there is, even though Matt already had document templates and subtables in there, it didn't recreate them. It recognized that those tables were already there. So it did set up the table he selected. It just didn't add those other tables because they already existed.
Correct. Yes, it did add the 4 fields to execute exact forms plus. But let's see if I were to go and authorize another app for.
You know what? One second before you go close that.
Yep.
One
Which
thing.
one?
Close that window. No. Go back. Stay there. I'm sorry. Close that window for the stamper. You notice there's 2 things that we offer for setting up. Like Matthew clicked authorize a new application. So that means, all right, you have a different application you want PDF Stamper to be installed in, but you can also have an existing application already set up for PDF Stamper that you just want to set up another table in that app, or maybe you want to set up the same table twice. Set up another table is what you would want to do if you want to either set up the same table twice or another table in an app that's already set up. Go ahead.
Yep. No, thanks, Keith. That's a good point, and I definitely should have touched on it. If you notice, this will actually skip you to the very last step of the setup wizards, because we already have identified the user token and we also have identified the app. So for PDF Stamper, and this is not for all of them, the only thing left would be to select the table that you'd want it in. And of course, for PDF Stamper, it's going to be in PDF. So there's no option there. And then again, you could select either the standard or the custom. So I'll just finish that one as well. And that's for setting up another table in the same app, and you get those 3 fields. And the other one I was interested in showing you guys today was either DocuSign or QB Maps, but I think we'll show QB Maps today. So QB Maps is one of the ones that has a few different things to touch on. So I'm going to go in and authorize another app. And again, I'm on trial, so that's why it looks the way it does. And if I were to enter, let's grab the same user token from before. I'm going to pick the application that's assigned to that user token. And this is, as you can see, a bit different than the other setup wizards that you've seen, because there's a couple different fields that we need to review when getting QB Maps set up. So select the address table. So I'm going to go with companies. And you see now I could select from fields here. So select a field which identifies the name of the location. For me, address seems like the logical choice. And then select the field for the mentioned properties of each location. So select address. For this one, I'm going to use street 1. City, I'm going to use address city. State, state/region. And zip code, I'm going to use postal code. So that's what you would fill in there. If you don't already have those fields, you can create them, or I'm pretty sure we should have had an option for create new field. If not, you just want to create the fields that match address.
Yeah, usually the address field, we usually expect the address fields to be there since you want to set up a table that already has locations. And that second one, you probably want to use the company name as the name of the location, because you already have the address. You don't want to duplicate fields just because it could cause some issues.
Okay. Yep. So company. Choose 3 fields which will be displayed in the info, and if you want an example, shows it here what it would be displaying. So, it's 3 fields to show when you're looking at QB Maps. So for this one, I want to use company, and for the second one, I want to use potentially, let's say, account manager. And for the third, I'm going to leave it blank. We don't need to have all 3, so we're just going to leave that one blank. For the map dimensions, these are the standard dimensions. So I'm going to leave these the way they are. If you'd want to change them, you can do that here as well. But I'm going to keep them as they are. And then this is where we go through the query itself. So for this one, I'll say the number of current contacts is not equal to, and I'll add a static value of 0. So basically we have to have a current contact in order to be viewing this on the map, and you just hit add filter. So each one of these has a little note here, and help you get your questions answered. If you're confused on this at any point, you can either refer back to this video or reach out to support. But obviously the last step here is just to finish or to add additional filters. But for now, that's all I want. So I'll just finish. Appropriate custom fields that will appear. I guess you need all three. So I'll say account created. And
the filter is very important there because you want to make sure that you don't, if you have thousands of records in a table, you obviously don't want to plot thousands of records on a map. So you want to make sure you put a filter in there to try to hone in on the locations you want to show on the map.
Yeah, as I might have said in the previous video, don't do record ID. It is not, it's not
greater than 0.
You will get everything. So yeah, that's one of the wizards that's not as standard, but if you hit refresh here, you'll see that it adds the new authorized app record. Obviously there was no last activity date, but that is one of the additional wizards.